Michelle Obama's speech the other day? Man, I saw like 8 minutes of it. It's an 8-minute clip, but it was like really touching. I mean, it was touching because she really spoke what's been on my heart. You know, I have children, and I see their future. And a lot of times kids, you know, you sacrifice for the kids so they can take advantage of situations that you blew, and then you see them responding to some of those situations the same way that you did, you know. One thing I think I learned from my raising is that you have to be intentional with your children. You have to make them do things that they may not want to do. You know, my parents, you know, made me do certain things like eat my vegetables, you know, but there are certain scholastic things that I was not, I don't think I was brought up or, you know, brainwashed to believe it was the thing I was supposed to do, you know. I came out of a military family, and I was a military kid, and I have 3 brothers. They all went in the military. And so then what do? I'm supposed to go in the military, you know. And so when I got around high school age, you know, 11th, 12th grade, my father wanted me to go to college. And I'm like, no, I'm going to the military, because I had not been sort of trained or guided to be thinking about college. All of my life, all I was thinking about was the day I get to go to boot camp. And my dad was a lifer, 40 years. You know, 20-some years as the military, and then 20-some more years as civil service. My brother, Vietnam, another brother, Vietnam, era veteran, another brother, you know, before me, military, and I went right after. You know. Matter of fact, I swore in while I was still in high school, because that's what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know any better, because I wasn't trained that way. And so I realized that for my children, you know, from the time they're young and even comprehend what college is, that's where they're going, that's what they're going to do. And so then I, you know, raising my son, and I'm, you know, kind of that way. But even my daughter now, who's like very young, who's like 11 years old, you know, we're being even more. We're focusing on math. We're focusing on science. We're focusing on robotics. You know, we're focusing on things. We're perfecting the grammar. We're perfecting English. We're having a real good school. We're making sure even at this age that she's going to have a really great, very good education. And so it really touched me watching Michelle Obama give that little speech. I think everybody's pretty much seen it by now. I know I shared it on Facebook, and then I do like 20 of my friends, they had shared it as well at the same time. It was something, even crossing party lines. It's like if you're a parent, you know. But of course, there are detractors. There are people that are negative, but I'm suggesting today, you know, we have to, as parents, you know, we look past these political boundaries. You know, if I'm a parent and my child decides to become a particular member of a particular party that I am not, oh well. I know my son was a Bernie supporter. Poor deluded child. No, I'm just kidding. He was a Bernie supporter. I wasn't. But I didn't care because he was engaged. That's what I want as a parent. I mean, my job isn't to make you think exactly like I think about every situation. If you come up with a particular, totally opposing situation to me, I'm cool with it. Because it shows me that you're thinking, man. When I was raising my son, there were times we had some serious debates. Like he was in private school for all of his life. Then he was getting ready to go to high school. He wanted to go to public school. And man, you know, I mean, I was in public school all my life. But I wanted something better for my kids, you know. But he was adamant about it. And we were having a conversation, so I said, okay, son. We went over to the Marriott and had brunch. And I said, we're going to have a conversation. And if you can convince me, honestly, in a conversation, that you should go to public school, I'm with it. I said, now you have to be respectful, but we're going to have a discussion, a conversation. Now in the back of my mind, this brother was going to private school, you know. But anyway, so we had this conversation. But you know, my son will tell you that we have had conversations where I was adamant about something, and we've talked about it, and he convinced me otherwise. Okay, because I want my children to be thinking. I just don't want them to be sheep. And so after that conversation, his argument was not convincing, and he ended up at Chaminade, and he was a little irritated with me because I made him go. But you know, when he came back from that game, I don't know which game it was, basketball, football, I don't know what kind of game it was. When he came back home and half of his face was blue and half of it was gold, or you know, whatever the colors of Chaminade. I mean, I knew he was sold on it. And as he went off to college, he would come back and say he sees the difference even in his ability to study than folks who came out of public school and their ability to study. So he saw the benefit, okay? I'm not saying as a dad I'm always right, but in that particular instance, I was, okay? But what I appreciate in my children is that I can discuss with them. Once I was talking to him and I was like, man, I got so frustrated with him. And I said, you're not even listening. He said, Dad, I think he was only like 12. He said, I listen to you. Then I think about it, but then I make my own decision. And right there, I had a burden lifted. Because that's all I want. All I want with my children just to listen to what I have to say. Okay, and then it's up to me to give a convincing enough argument so for their best benefit, they will do what I'm suggesting, if I'm right. Okay, and so that's what we want our children to think. And my daughter the same. I'm raising her. We can have discussions about anything, as long as it's respectful. And she, even 11 years old, even, past couple of years, we've had discussions about things that I had made my mind up about, and after talking to her, okay, I see your point, okay. I'm cool with that. Because that's what I want. I want you to be able to dialogue. I want you to be able to discuss without getting mad, without stomping a temper tantrum and all that stuff. No, let's have a discussion. And it's up to me to present the best case for what I believe, and it's up to you to present the best case for what you believe. And I love you so much that if you convince me that I'm not right, I don't mind admitting it. See, the old father, the old parents that don't do what I just because I told you to and all that, that's not good enough. Because I've been wrong before. And I want what's best for my kids. It's not about my ego. It's not about me being this and all this. No, I want what's best for my kid. I will not be here always. And when I'm gone, I want my child to have all the benefits. And so I don't want them to embrace what I want them to embrace simply because I said it. I want it to be the right thing. Even like working out, man. I have my daughter practice. She's in martial arts from the time she was like before kindergarten. Okay. And I have to admit, I kind of convinced her. I practiced the martial art most of my life and still work out today. But she's getting ready to go to, and we're sending her to Vandalia, to this school that's predominantly kids that don't look like her, okay? And one thing about a dad and a little girl, you protect your daughter. Any of you dads and daughters, you know what I'm talking about. We have sons, and that's cool. We're the same way, but this is a daughter now. Come on, this is my little girl. And so I'm thinking, man, she's going to go to this school. I know how bullies are. I know how, things go down, especially when you're different. So I needed her to practice the martial art. But everybody in the family was saying, no, you just want her to do it because you did it. I need her to do it, so I can't protect her anymore, okay? So I've been putting it out there, we need you to work out, you want to work out. She didn't want to because, her mama didn't want her to, so she didn't want to, that kind of thing. That was an uphill battle for me, right? So then just before kindergarten, maybe a couple weeks before kindergarten started, maybe a month or so, I took her to see Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son. And so it was my wife, my daughter, and me. My daughter was in the middle, and we're watching this, I mean, this is my plan, okay? Don't get me, this is my plan. So we're watching this, and, he's getting all abused and pushed around. Everybody's seen the movie, right? So then at the end, I said, honey, do you want to be like that when you go to school? She's just getting ready to go to kindergarten, right? She goes, no. I said, well, you want to practice karate? She goes, yes. And that was it, man. So she practiced karate for like over 2 years. I think she went to like green belt, purple belt, or whatever. And then we've worked out. And so what I had her do, and I had her go to, when she went to kindergarten, and somewhere in kindergarten she got like her first belt, her yellow belt. And I said, look, on show and tell, I created her show and tell presentation. So I had this picture, this little picture collage thing in a frame of one. She's standing here, with her fist out like that. Another one, she's got a leg up, getting ready to kick. Another one, she's getting presented by this black belt, her yellow belt. So I have all these pictures of her and her belt. And I said, this is your first show and tell, honey. And kindergarten age kids are going to do whatever you ask them to do, right? So that was that. So right then, there was a myth created at that school she was at. Because most people don't know anything about karate except what they see on TV or what they think or, hear or whatever. So, automatically, she practices karate. There's no bullying. Yeah, she had friends. Everybody was her friend because although she was different, she had a skill. She had a skill set that nobody else had. She listened to her daddy. And that lasted her throughout. At the end of the second grade, she was like, Daddy, I don't want to practice karate anymore. And she was afraid to tell me. I'm like, okay, I was good enough with that. She had enough skill, 2 years, that I could work with that. I had like a 40-minute workout. You do like 1,000 kicks and about 900 punches in a course of like 40 minutes. We did that every day for about a year. Now we do it every so often, but she's tough now. We had like a 5-punch. It was like a 2-3-punch maneuver, and then I do it just turn into a 5-punch maneuver. Man, now my daughter's pretty tough right now. Okay. After that, she wanted to run track. But she couldn't run. She couldn't even walk 2 blocks hardly without getting tired. So I took her to the gym, and I said, look, honey, we're going to run around this track until we can run a mile together. And I promised her, I said, I'm not going to shave until we can run that mile. That took about 9 months. Then I shaved. We were running that mile together every day. So I'm just suggesting, that we just want the best for our kids. When I was her age, I couldn't run. My side would always hurt. I hated running. Even at boot camp, I hated running. But we want what's best for our kids, okay? And that's what I've done with my daughter. And that's what I did with my son. But I give them the opportunity to convince me. You don't want to practice karate anymore? Let's talk about it. Okay, you got to do something. What are we going to do? Just reason. Just talk. But that education is paramount. And so, after Michelle Obama gave that speech, I sat my daughter down. I said, I want you to watch this. Because I watched it like 3 times yesterday, man. I was watching her speech at work. When I got out of work, I was still in my car when my car was warming up. And man, I was like, man, wiping my eyes, man. It was like very touching, man. Because it was right on. So I had my daughter watch it, and while I was, making some food for her. And then we talked about it. But she's on that path. She's in a great school. She has great parents that work with her. I'm the math person. I'm the science person. I'm the geography person. My wife is the English person and the grammar person. And it helps her with presentations and projects. My wife is like the artist as well. That's not my thing. I couldn't color between the lines, right? But we recognize that the future for our children, just like Michelle Obama said, was education. And so that's what I've been suggesting. I've been suggesting this for a couple of years now. Is that we need to, now I've been suggesting that we need to stop doing drugs and stop doing alcohol. We need to stop breaking the laws. We need to get educated. We need to get armed legally and stand our own ground. Now, so I'm kind of tweaking a little bit for young people that you have to get a good education. That's very important for me, myself. I'm 58 years old. I just received my bachelor's degree the same week that I turned 58, back in November of 2016. And that was very interesting. It took me 8 years. I went to school because Obama became president. I recognized something magical was in the air. Why don't I do something that I had never done before? So I decided to go back to school. And I went to Sinclair to get my associate degree. And then I went to Park University to finish up with my bachelor's degree. And now I'm in a program for my master's degree. Why? I don't know. Now, I'll tell you why. Now this is the difference, okay? And I want to share this because there was a change that came over me when I crossed that podium and I got my degree a couple of months ago. I changed, or I was enlightened, or I began to see something that I didn't see before. See, when Obama became president and I decided to do something I had never done, I was going to get a degree. And I got the associate degree. I said, well, associate degree is just an associate degree. Why not just go ahead and get the bachelor's degree? And then be done with it. And so I went to school when Obama became president simply to do something I hadn't done before. It was for no other reason than just to do something I hadn't done before, and so I did it. But when I was crossing that stage to get my diploma, I changed. It was like my mind, I realized that I have the potential to learn more, to understand more. It wasn't just about getting the degree and now I'm done. It was at that point I realized, man, that it's like I have this space, almost like I have a computer with all this memory and it's not being utilized. It was like, so now I'm going for this master's degree with a whole different mindset. The bachelor's degree thing was just because to do it. Now it's because I want to get that insight. I want to get that information. I just want to grow in that insight and in that understanding. It's like, I exercise, to make sure I stay toned. I eat right to make sure I stay healthy. I'm always studying things like languages and everything you can possibly imagine I study. But now it's like I want to just learn for the sake of learning. Okay? And that is a positive thing. As I begin to talk to people, even as I've been going through this educational journey, I see a difference even in the conversations with people, that have bachelor's degrees and their high school degrees. I'm not saying it makes them any better, but there is sort of an insight. But then even recently, once I've attained this level, I'm noticing the difference when I talk to people with master's degrees. I don't know if it's because of knowledge or it's because of an ability to examine concepts, or if it's a self-confidence, or if it's simply the extent of the work that has to be put into it. It gives them new problem-solving mechanisms that sort of spill into their regular life. I don't know what it is, but if better is possible, why settle for less, okay? And for the future, I know maybe, if I follow through with this and do this thing, there'll be other avenues, as I get older. But right now, it's like I want this knowledge, okay? And it's a structured environment that already has a predetermined set of benchmarks that will help me garner this knowledge. And that's it. And so what I'm giving to young people today, and even older people like myself, but young people, get a good education. Like Miss Obama said, get a good education, and it's up to you. I know even when I was struggling with certain classes in the bachelor's degree, I could get on the internet, I can get on YouTube, and I can figure out how to do particular mathematical problems. I can see how to come to the correct conclusions, given these certain numbers and all that I was struggling with. So there is a way to better the education. There's no reason not to. And I speak to some people, some young people now, when I say in their 20s, and maybe they've messed up with their student loans or this or that. It doesn't matter. Go back. Find a way to go back. Contact those people. Contact the school. You can go to Sinclair College and have them just take a little bit out of your paycheck every payday and pay for those courses. It's not that expensive, but don't settle. And in the process of getting that education, figure out how you're going to handle the student loans and continue once you leave Sinclair. I'm just saying, get that education. That's the key. Okay? And so keep your nose clean. She didn't say this, but I'm going to say it. Keep your nose clean. Don't do wrong. Don't do evil. Don't break the law. Quit smoking weed. Don't smoke weed. Don't drink. Don't do anything you're not supposed to be doing. Keep your nose clean. Spend all of your time getting educated. That's your job right now. See, I think one of the lessons that I've learned in life, as an older person now, looking back, is all the wasted time of doing things that had no real value. Me and my buddy, we used to play this game called Berserk, back in the days of the old-fashioned game rooms, with the games you'd stand at, put a quarter or a token in or whatever. Man, we must have spent hours playing that. And hours playing pinball. And hours playing ping pong. I'm real good at ping pong, okay? I'm not, people, you ask somebody if they play ping pong and say, yeah, I play. No, you don't. I play the kind of ping pong where you need to have knee pads on, okay? Where you might be 10 feet back behind that table. That's the kind of ping pong. But to get that good, we would play 20, 30 games at a time, round, change sides. I spent so much time doing things that had no real value, is what I'm saying. You drinking alcohol, you getting high, so you're buzzed every day, all day. Then what? Then the buzz wears off. Where are you? 5 years later, 10 years later, man, I'm telling you, I look at people all the time, in my job as a mailman. And I see people in the street, people that are homeless, people that are alcoholics, drug addicts, whatever their issues are. And in my mind, I'm always respectful. I'm always talking to them. I'm always kind because I see me. Had I not taken that left road instead of the right road, had I not continued down the path that I was going. Wasted time. So even though I finally wised up when I was like 28 years old, I wasted all those years. And even after I wised up, although I stopped, getting that buzz, although I stopped doing this, stopped doing that, stopped going to the clubs and all that stuff, still, I never really took advantage of the time to better myself until Obama became president. I'm like, wow. I've wasted all this time. This man is younger than me, and he's a Harvard graduate, attorney, now president, and I have a high school diploma. I realized that only 8 years ago, I was like 49 years old, that all those years were wasted. And so even though I've done so much, within the past 8 years, I realized that my potential is far less than it could have been had I wised up like this years and years and years ago. And so this is where the experience comes as a parent. When we look at our kids and say, look, don't be like me. Don't do what I did. And it's easy sometimes. I think first of all, as parents, we need to stop drinking that alcohol. We need to stop smoking that weed. We need to stay home more, be with your kids. Help them. Because the gift that you have with your children, what I've seen, okay, give you an example. My son played basketball. I mean, he wasn't the best on the basketball court. Why? Who were the best kids on that basketball court? Those kids, a lot of times, that had dads that could play basketball. I wasn't one of those dads, okay? I could play horse or pig or whatever, but I'm not a basketball player. And so I wasn't able to give my son. Now the thing is, the kids that are real good at basketball, whose dads played basketball, trust me, as those kids got older, those kids became way better than their dads. Why? Because their dads knew their weaknesses in basketball. And they made sure that their weaknesses were strengths in their kids. The kids didn't have the weaknesses. Like baseball, I played baseball. I was able to help my son with baseball. I was able to help him in areas where I had a weakness in baseball. The martial art, the same, like with my daughter. My problem in the martial art was, I started practicing martial art when I was about 14 years old in high school. But with my friends. But I was always goofing off. So when we're working out, when the instructor wasn't looking, I was just goofing off, laughing. I wasn't even really that serious about it. So I realized that in my daughter. So I make sure we can laugh and goof around, but I realize she's like me, so I kind of keep her straight, keep her settled, okay? So the reason we as parents need to be there when our kids are coming up is because we know the weaknesses, the tendencies that they might be prone to do are the ones that we had, so we can catch it before they get there. I know that in math, man, I used to just try to be quick, and I'd make silly mistakes. And if you make one silly mistake in an algebraic problem, the whole question is wrong. So you can fail a test just not because you didn't know the material, just because you were going too fast. So I slowed my daughter down. Take your time. Look at it. Man, if you have extra time at the end of the test, then go back and look at each problem. Double check it and all that stuff. So you know your weaknesses and you can help your child avoid those mistakes that you make. That's why you have to be there. So the education is necessary, keeping the nose clean. So we have to keep our noses clean as parents. We have to be the examples before our kids on what they need to be. I'm telling you, man, I get my daughter up. You think I'm cruel, right? I get up at 5:30 in the mornings, on school mornings. Because she has to practice the piano for like 15 minutes. And then we do algebra for like till 6:30, for like 45 minutes. Now the other day she had some science that she just needed to finish up on. She was working on it at night, and I didn't want her doing it when she was tired. So when I got her up in the morning, she just finished her science. We skipped math that day. And you know what she said to me while she was sitting there working? And it's like 10 minutes to 6 in the morning. She said, I'm not even tired right now. She was excited. That's right, because if you go to bed early, you know, what is it? How did that whole thing go? Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. For real, if you go to bed early, you can get up early. And you're more fresh in the morning, okay? So it's a responsibility to make sure our children are educated, but we have to be the examples. So I have to get up at 5 o'clock to get ready for work so I can wake her up at 5:30 and help her take care of her business. So that's a sacrifice on my part in order to make sure that she is able to do what she needs to do. Even this master's degree program, my son has a bachelor's degree from UC. So then I applied and was accepted into this master's degree program, and guess what he just did recently? Applied to a master's degree program. You know, still at this age, 58, he's 27 years old. You know, you can still be an example to your children, but it takes sacrifice. Now, if something happens and I can't finish this program, maybe I just won't tell him. Oh yeah, studies are coming along fine. I don't know. But we just have a lot to do, and a lot of it is sacrifice. But it's for a greater good. It's for your children. So the children need to get a good education. Need to keep their noses clean. I don't want to say get armed. Not for kids, right? But it, you know, that's very important, I think, when you get older, but, you know, not as kids. But as parents, we need to get armed legally, you know. Put your stuff away, lock it away. You may never need that stuff, but who knows what might transpire one day. So this, I guess in a nutshell, is what I call my remedy to prevent victimization, okay? Especially of our children. I mean, coming up, I mean, you do, there's too much wasted potential in our communities. And that wasted potential in our children is, I know folks don't want to hear this, but it's often, more often than not, the fault of the parent. I walk by too many houses, you know, in the course of my job, and there's weed smoke billowing out of houses of parents. And these are in project neighborhoods where every household has kids. That's why they're there. And so that is no example before a child to validate smoking weed. I was walking by my house yesterday, man, and a woman was just yelling and screaming and cussing terribly at these little kids. I mean, I understand the pressures. She's probably under pressure, a lot of pressure. But you know, most of our pressure is self-induced. It has to do with the drugs. It has to do with the relationships. It has to do with the poor choices that we're making. So even as parents, if we take this opportunity to further our education, if we take this opportunity to clean up our act, and quit doing drugs, quit doing alcohol, get ourselves healthy. Yeah, another thing for these young people and for us as well is to get healthy. Eat healthy foods. Quit eating that junk food. Exercise. Get yourself together. Tone yourself together. And for a parent, use this opportunity to do all these things to be an example in front of your children, okay? That's all I'm saying. And oftentimes, a lot of these things should just be to take care of your own life, but you need to recognize that your kid is going to be just like you. If you're overweight, out of shape, chances are your kid is going to be that way too. They may not look like it now, but neither did you possibly when you were their age. What they're shaping, you are the hero. They're becoming just like you. Let them begin to see positive attributes, positive traits. I'm just glad, and it wasn't by my own sense that I wasn't getting that buzz. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't going out. I wasn't doing any of those things when my son came into the world. Now he makes his choices now, and he does some of those things now, but, you know, not to the extent that I did, and I'm pretty happy about that. And so whatever you want your child to be, there was an old Asian proverb. It says, a man who makes himself as he teaches others, being himself controlled, can control others. What that's saying is whatever you want your children to be, you be that before them. And they will become what you demonstrate. And that will be your control over them. Because you can't do as I say, not as I do. You can't give all this advice and live any kind of way and think your child is going to, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Your child is going to be like you. And a lot of times our children take what they see in us and ratchet it up to the next level, okay? So be, before your children, what you want them to be, okay? In closing, I ran a 5K with my son a few months ago. My first and last 5K. It's a wonderful thing to be able to run next to your child. I guess really in closing, I remember when my daughter and I were running, practicing to run that mile, and we got to the point where we could run a mile, so we were running a mile every day together. It was really cool. We were doing it at the Y over in Inglewood. And they would have, sometimes they would have Zumba nights, you know, where the predominantly ladies would be on the gym floor and they'd be doing their Zumba with their Zumba music. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And we were above them. The track was above them. So we'd be running around. I think it was like 18 and a half laps or 18 laps or something was a mile. And man, I was running with my daughter that whole time, just running with her. I didn't need to run. Come on, as old as I was, I think I was still in my 50s. I'm running around this track with my little girl. I didn't need to run. I wasn't even a runner. But I'm running next to my child. I'm pacing my child. When she gets tired, I'm keeping my pace. I'm making sure I'm pacing my child, keeping her, getting her to where she needs to be. I remember once, oh man, I had this terrible abdominal injury. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And it was like every step it was pain. And so I decided, well, I was going to sit out. So I got this little stool at the track, and I sat in the corner, and just encouraged her to run that mile because I couldn't run it. And she ran it. But guess what? I couldn't do that. I had to run next to my daughter. So even though it pained me for a few months, I ran with my daughter that mile. It seemed like I'd be getting well that day. And then I'd go run with her and it would get bad again right after I ran. But I kept it up. I ran with my daughter. Because there's nothing like running next to your child and making sure they keep that right pace. And same with my son, running with him, whether it's with schoolwork. When he was at the University of Cincinnati, I was at Sinclair, and I'm struggling in algebra. He was struggling with calculus or trigonometry or something. But I was encouraging him. We encourage our young people, encourage them. So when your race is over, they got that baton in their hand, and they can take it to a place where you couldn't go, simply by your encouragement, your motivation, and your example. Well, I guess I've been your ear long enough. I hope you got something from this, and I do want to thank you once again for joining me and listening. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care.